Vikings have been around since 1961. And I just want them to win a damn Super Bowl before I die. Welcome to Before I Die with Judd and Jesse on Purple Daily and Score North.
That's right. Just one Super Bowl, just one real good push, you guys, before we die here in Minnesota as Minnesota Vikings fans. I'm Jesse Pierce, host of this lovely Before I Die show on Score North with Purple Daily alongside Judd. Declan stepping in for Ross because, week 2 of season 2, Ross apparently undisclosed injury. I'm not sure what's going on with him, but we've called in a good backup, good replacement in Dex.
Judd, this is like 2016 week 1, Sean Mannion starts the opener and then is just mysteriously on the injured report for the rest of the season.
Oh, no, Sean Hill.
Sean Hill, not Sean Mannion.
Sean Hill was an
Mannion,
old man. He got by with one start. Yeah, I'm just curious about Ross. One show, that's like one. He is the Jalen Naylor of the show, which means he had one practice. It was pretty good. And since then, we haven't seen him.
Lack of commitment. If I'm Kevin O'Connell, I think we're cutting. We're cutting down the roster.
Jesse Pierce might want to make some changes.
I'm gonna have to really, really consider this, you guys. But thanks for tuning in for this week's show. As always, we're here to talk Minnesota Vikings. We're not going to rehash last Thursday in full, but I want to start with this. Since we're talking backup, since Dex is technically our backup, Jaren Hall. Let's talk about the backup quarterback. He got in during the third quarter of that preseason game. So why not recklessly speculate how he's going to do as a career NFL football quarterback? What do we think? How do we think of his performance? Is it anything that Nick Mullens has to worry about? Nick Mullens looked good, but his offensive line obviously far superior than what Jaren Hall was afforded last week.
So I don't think he has to be concerned. Bye, Patrick.
There's Royce. Bye, Pat.
I don't think that Nick Mullens has to be concerned. Jaren Hall is clearly not set to play. But I am also not dismissing Hall because I think that there are some now who are like, oh, he's a bust. He's not going to be good. That might be ultimately true. But I really think that this is, again, with a former quarterback who was a third-round pick himself as his coach and his advisor. I really think that this is a situation where Jaren Hall is going to get a year to learn. And there was something about him that they liked, and it's probably not as random as when Kellen Mond was taken by Spielman and company, because I don't know that they really knew what they were watching in quarterbacks. So Nick Mullens has nothing to worry about, but I am also not throwing in the towel on Jaren Hall after one game. I think he did some good things. I think that there are definitely some things he has to learn. But that being said, I'm curious to see how much progress he can make sort of learning behind the scenes for an entire season.
I didn't love that he only got time in the second half with the third and fourth stringers. I understand why you don't make your starters. Did not want Kirk Cousins, did not want Justin Jefferson, don't want Alex Madison out there. But I did not appreciate the fact he gets thrown in with all these, third string, fourth string guys, and then he's at the mercy of just awful offensive line play. And he already has a tendency of running for his life in practice, as Judd has said numerous times. So I would like to see him the next time they go out, which is, I believe, next Saturday, and that one is here at US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. Give him the start, give him the ample time with at least the twos, and see what you got there. We all know Nick Mullens is presumably the quarterback 2 to Kirk Cousins for this season. That's fine. But let's see what you got with Jaren Hall with at least capable teammates around him.
I'd agree. I mean, I think Hall looked every bit a rookie quarterback entering into the NFL. I mean, I don't know that you expected a whole lot more, but Dex, I completely agree. I'd like to give him something to work with so you could use the preseason exactly what it's intended for, to evaluate and analyze what exactly you have going on there. Dex, personally, I wish you would have showed up like Kirk Cousins, though, maybe just ready to go in at any moment. I think I'm going to use that moving forward in life. Jed? Always. Yeah.
No.
Jed, you got a helmet ready to go?
No,
constantly?
I don't. I'm sorry. I'm retired, you guys. I'm 53.
You know what, Jess, next press box at the X, I'll just come with my headphones in, even if they're not plugged in. I'll wear my over the ears ones. I'll just be ready in the event. Yeah, and a microphone. I'll just have one in my hand at all times walking around the press box.
Or attached to your face mask.
Yeah.
I think it's a smart move.
Strapped
I mean, Kirk just ready to go. It literally could hear the song "Put Me In, Coach" playing in the background as he stood on the sidelines. I just can't get that image.
He has so embraced this geek thing now. It's hilarious. Like, he clearly has taken it, and you know what? Good for him, right?
Yeah.
But I think the Netflix thing. So I'm not sure that Kirk appreciated being considered a geek before that, but I think the Netflix thing took him to a point where it's funny. And like people, in my opinion now, he realizes people aren't laughing at him. They're sort of laughing with him. And so I think he has really just bought into, because like his wife talks about it too. So it's people he knows and trusts. But it feels like he has just sort of like taken the geek thing and just really embraced it, which I do think is a really smart move. It makes you more likable when you embrace your qualities that might be sort of weird as opposed to fighting them.
Yeah, I'm obnoxious and I fully embrace that. And that's fine. I think everybody out there knows it's fine. Bring it on. That's
You're
who
not
I
that
am.
obnoxious, though. You're sort of
moments.
obnoxious, but you're not super
I'm
obnoxious.
I'm more obnoxious than Jesse. Judd, would you agree?
Ooh, I think you're obnoxious. I think you're both obnoxious in different ways, to be
That's
honest
fair.
with you.
That's good.
I think the people in the comments on YouTube are going to have to lay this out for us. Who is the most obnoxious on this show? Maybe it's Ross. Maybe toss a vote toward Ross too. Let's not leave him out of the fun and action too.
I will say this in especially where I've seen you at work in the Wild post game. Jesse does a great job of asking questions that are disarming, but they're actually good questions, if that makes sense.
Kill
Like
him
that's
with
a trait I don't have. Like if I'm going to ask a question, it can be perceived as, critical. You do a pretty good job of asking what I would consider to be potentially critical question, but you've got this way about you that it sort of disarms a player, and there's nothing better than disarming a player.
Yeah, I always think I'm on a podcast, so sometimes I do say things during a press conference that I shouldn't be saying because I'm in response and I'm doing something snarky. I'm like, ooh, sorry, I forgot this is like a real thing. Speaking of quarterbacks, I did think Jaren Hall seems like he would be kind of fun to follow around anyway. Far better than Marcus Mariota. Like I liked how Hall took accountability for himself and, really said, yes, I need to work on X, Y, Z. Again, as a rookie quarterback should, but I think he seemed like kind of a cool dude. I'm always looking for new quarterbacks to follow on that Netflix series since a lot of quarterbacks are saying no to the show, which I think is just sad. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's a long list now, right, you guys?
Yeah.
No.
Didn't Justin Fields said no?
Mm-hmm.
Did Jalen Hurts say no?
I think
Jalen
Hurts said no.
It's a fairly long list of guys. Now, did Joe Burrow say no or yes? It was reported by Peter King that he was going to be on it, but then actually Peter King went into that column and scrubbed it out. So I would guess he's not. Yeah, that was a fun show. I will say in defense of the quarterbacks, though, like you could tell that was a lot of commitment.
Yeah.
Like they're going to your house. They're at your house. Like if they did a thing called talk show host, would I really want a camera crew in my? I mean, would you want a camera crew in your house?
My house is a disaster, Judd. Absolutely
3 kiddos,
not.
dog.
Yeah.
You don't want
Although,
that.
you know what? No,
don't
maybe people might have some
apologize.
sympathy for me then. They might be like, wow, this girl is dealing with a lot. I've got a 5-year-old with an eye patch now running around and running into things because he can't see. It's a madhouse.
What
over
happened to
here.
your kid?
He just has a bad eye. It's just a bad eye.
Oh,
It's just fine.
poor.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. It's cool. We're working through it.
Okay.
It's fun. He's already learned how to peek out of it. I'm like, dude, you can't. Like, we need to learn. He's like, but I can't see. I'm like, I know. We got to
I
turn the
know.
brain on. It's a whole thing.
Oh,
kinda fun.
wow. Look at you.
Yeah, that's a little sneak peek into talk show hosts if we were to do that. So yeah, someone with kids.
Dex would be
always-
good.
Dex would be good. With the dog, so much dog content.
A lot
I
of
think.
dog content.
Oh, I'd have a
I
ton
mean,
of
if you
dog
were on the
content.
money line of who's likely to have a kid between Judd, Mackey, and Declan,
It's you. Declan.
Declan might be the favorite. Might be
Well,
the favorite.
it ain't going to be me
It's
and the
not
wife.
going to be Judd.
We're in our 50s.
Again, you can borrow one of mine anytime. I'll rent them out. That's going to be a new
Okay.
business that I'll start.
I
So
like it.
since we're talking preseason, as you guys mentioned, the Tennessee Titans in town joint practice this week. I love joint practices, you guys. Like, I think you just definitely see more naturally because there's some ego out there. There's some pride. Can be a little bit chaotic at times, but I'm loving the joint practice. Excited Tennessee Titans in town Saturday for that preseason game. Wouldn't you guys agree? Joint practices over just a regular old practice.
Oh,
10
amen. Yes,
Right?
yes. And this is now going to be like this is the thing now. So in fact, I think this is the first time, I'm almost positive in saying this, that the Vikings have done not one but 2 joint practices. And I feel like the preseason games now are definitely for trying to decide depth pieces, like to look at young players, right? And to look at guys that are undrafted. But gone are the days where there was a concern about, well, The starters are going to play a series in game 1. They're going to play 2 series in game 2. They're going to play an entire half in game 3. And then game 4, they're not going to play. I feel as if now the 3 exhibition games give you a chance to look at depth guys, to look at backups. But the joint practices are where the starters get their reps. And so, yeah, it's way more controlled. The goal will 100% not to be to tackle to the ground, things like that, but it's going to be situational work. And if I'm a fan, I actually would attend these. Like, I think there's going to be enough to watch where it's going to be intriguing. And look, I mean, this is where Justin Jefferson, Kirk Cousins, the first team defense, this is where they're going to get their work now. So yes, I actually get where this is going, and I don't mind this. I think it's probably a really good idea, especially to try to keep starters healthy.
Yeah, I always like it. It's a lot like spring training in baseball. Like, you get to see both teams, right? Like, especially when you go down there and you get somewhat of the A lineup, you get some of the B lineup. But I'd rather see that than, watch a bunch of 3rd and 4th stringers in a true preseason game. I'd rather see this joint practice stuff, and I think it's valuable. I think it's valuable for both sides. They get to kind of see legit NFL looks for the first time on field that actually means something in about 9 months that they've been all game planning for. I think it's great, and for the fans too, I would much rather spend my hard-earned money, if you will, going to TCO, watching the joint practices, and instead of going to a preseason game.
Last year when they hosted the 49ers, George Kittle came to the beauty league that night because he's friends with Bukestad. So which player do you think from the Titans could make an appearance at Braemar? They're probably not going to, guys, but I'm just wishing this into fruition. I want like DeAndre Hopkins. Let's get him on the bench.
God.
Derrick Henry, maybe? Right?
Even Will Levis. I would take Will Levis.
Tannehill go?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, Will Levis.
Levis is from Mass. He's from Newton, Massachusetts. So I'm just going to assume he played somewhat of hockey, and he's got, he's 6'4", 230.
Yeah.
I bet he played a little bit of hockey.
What's the plan there, too?
With Levis?
Yeah. That dude he fell through the draft so much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious what the Titans' plan there is.
Well, long term, they drafted Malik Willis, too, last year.
I know.
So the whole thing is very wacky. Obviously, I think Ryan Tannehill's still the QB1 to start the season, but they have basically 2 projects in Will Levis and Malik Willis. And I thought Malik Willis, and I still think Malik Willis probably could be a trade candidate before you open the season. Wouldn't shock me either.
Would you take him on the Vikings?
If they didn't have Jaren Hall, yes.
Mm-hmm.
If they didn't have Jaren Hall, I would 100% take a flyer on Malik Willis.
Would you trust him if you traded for him? Would you trust him to actually be your 2 and let go of Nick Mullens?
No. Okay. Not right now.
Pure inexperience-wise, that's just where you're at. Just not.
And it just seems like Malik Willis, the way they have to tailor the offense is not like around Kirk. Like the way Kirk Cousins and even Nick Mullens, who has started in pinches for San Francisco and has played decently, I think that offense is tailored to both those guys. I don't know if that offense, KLC, can be tailored to someone like Malik Willis, who's a dual-threat guy.
Where do you guys fall with Trey Lance? He played again on Sunday. It didn't work. This is one of the weirdest things. When you gave up what San Francisco did, right, to get him, and you gave up a ton, and seemingly he's just going to have no shot now. To me, it's a really weird predicament. Because he's not, at this point, he's not going to get the chance to wash out. He's just not going to be a factor.
No. He'll kind of that was a terrible performance last week against the Raiders. That was just, you felt for the kid, right? Oof.
I know.
Yeah.
But it's someone going to step in and try and save him. Because San Francisco, which is a very smart team, especially with Shanahan when it comes to quarterback play, you got to think that someone is going to say, okay, there's something there. Can we try and get that? It looks like it's not going to be San Fran, but that one to me, because ordinarily it's Christian Ponder, right? He was awful, but he got a chance. He got a full chance to be okay, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And it's really not going to work. Lance is just, he gets hurt and now he's the 3rd guy there and he's behind Sam Darnold and Purdy. I am really baffled by what is going to happen to Trey Lance, if anything.
And he's 23?
He's still a kid, yeah.
Yeah, he's still young. You guys all know, if you watched any of last year, if you follow me on Twitter, I am a diehard Brock Purdy fan. Go Cyclones, Iowa State forever, yada, yada, rip.
Go Clones.
Go Clones.
I do like the Cyclones.
They're not
Except
the
your quarterback
Hawkeyes.
was gambling on games, so that's
Did
probably
you see
a
how
bad
many
thing.
Hawkeyes have gone down for the same exact thing? And they're betting the under on their own team.
You know what this is? This is an acknowledgement of how boring it is to be in a state where, by the way, I have family I love there. But yes, the Hawkeyes were like everyone was going to the casino.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you do. You can gamble. It's
Diamond Joe's, baby.
Diamond Joe's. I know. I remember.
I'd love to be in line with Diamond Joe's.
I went down there because here we could gamble at 18, right? You go to the casino. In Iowa, it was 21. And so my dad and I were coming through. I can't remember. He was picking me up or something. I was freshman year. Stopped at Diamond Joe's because it's right there on the border. And they're like, oh, she can't gamble. So, most dads would probably turn around and be like, okay, we'll keep on our way. Nope. He sent me to the Burger King next door. He went in and tossed down a 20 at the casino. I
feel like most dads would do what your dad did.
Yeah.
I don't think most dads would. Now, moms might, but I don't think most dads would at that point in time bail. And plus, he got you to do something that was productive instead of just sit there and watch him gamble. That was actually very smart.
He gave me $20 of his winnings. So really, for doing nothing. Yes. So I will always appreciate him. We were talking a little bit about Trey Lance. We're talking about the Titans preseason. How much preseason have you guys been watching? I know I jokingly was annoyed that it was a 9 p.m. start, but it's also because it's preseason. I'm like, I'm really not going to stay up for a 9 p.m. start to watch preseason. I did because I am missing football that badly. But how much preseason football are you guys realistically watching outside of even just the Vikes?
I was going to say, because I did watch the entire Vikings game.
Yes.
But that's part of our duty. So that's like not. So there was a bunch of games on NFL Network Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I watched Friday, I toggled between preseason football and the Twins a lot. Saturday, I was at the Vikings all day and didn't watch a bit, I don't think. I think they showed like parts of 4 or 5 games. So a little, but not much. Not much. Because quite frankly, I don't care about a lot of these competitions for depth jobs like in Denver or Philadelphia. And I think the only, so in retrospect, I would have liked to have seen Lance play, and I know it didn't go well. Russell Wilson actually played extensively for Denver. I would go back and watch that. But yeah, with what we talked about and the direction that football is going now with exhibition games, I can watch a little bit, but not a ton.
Yeah, it really doesn't do a whole lot for me. I turned on a little bit. I think Scotty Anson, he wasn't on Friday because there was a slew of games on Friday night that I watched. Yes. I watched just in passing background noise. I had Packers and was it Browns?
Bengals.
Packers and Bengals was on. I watched a little bit of that, and then I watched just another one as I was just like basically unpacking my liquor box from Liquor Store Friday. But that was the only reason I had it on. I would say, again, to use a spring training in baseball is probably the only preseason I will not go out of my way to watch, but I'll actually sit down and watch it just because it has a little bit more of a somewhat real feel to it.
That's fair. I'm not preseason anything if I can avoid it, despite it being our job, which I know people are like, oh, woe is you guys. You have to watch sporting events for your job. But it is. It's a little tedious once in a while. I'd rather be out on the paddle boat, out doing golf, whatever.
Well, you've got all those outdoor activities.
Love it. I got to be outside, man. Yeah.
I know. You like the outdoors. You see, Judd, not outdoors guy.
I'm getting resentful. I had we've only had a couple bonfires this summer in our backyard because it's been so hot or so dry or we're out doing things. The mosquitoes. I kind of forgot about those guys. Man, they're out there. They're back. No.
Gotta be careful.
No I only had them bad at the beginning of early May, mid-May. Yeah. It was probably the worst mosquito experience I've ever had. But the last month or so, it's been okay. I haven't had issues with the mosquitoes. I've been okay over there.
I was shocked. I was like, what is happening? I'm doused and off. Had to have a couple extra beers in order to not feel them. But,
I hate being doused and off. I've never liked
smell.
it. It's a bad smell. It's a bad look.
It's
bad feel.
Yeah.
But what Pierce has to be careful about is you got to put shoes on. Jesse doesn't wear shoes. Dawn cut her foot wide open on Saturday, and I always tell her. And you know what the worst thing is, as a guy. You can't help. So when something happens that you've cautioned your wife against, I can't help but say, you got to be wearing shoes. I tell you. And so it just makes it worse. And I can't help myself. I've told you, you got to wear shoes.
I mow the grass in my bare feet. It's just
God.
You're crazy. What are you thinking? Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. Yeah. Just go.
Oh my God, Jesse.
I I'm a little redneck, guys. I don't know if we've ever really established
Ess.
this.
Yeah, but we don't want you to lose a toe.
Well, I'm not putting my feet by the mower.
I
Like
don't
the
care. If
blades.
something happens, you got no protection
No, we
there.
got Before I Die. Then we have to find a replacement for you.
Yeah.
Come on. We're thin as it is over here.
Who are we going to get?
Yeah.
I don't know. Slap a blonde wig on somebody. You'll be able to replace me. All right. I'm sure it'll be fine. We'll survive. Speaking of preseason and not barefoot, but speaking of feet and kickers, look at this segue, guys. How about this one? Greg Joseph nailing a 50-yarder last Thursday.
All right, Declan.
How are we feeling? Yeah, Dex, this is all you, man.
This is
I know
Dex.
you were excited.
I'm bowing
Let's
out.
go.
Kickers.
Yeah.
This is nails. There wasn't there's a so-called kicking competition going on right here. And, Pod Lesney is, a nice little college kicker. But Greg Joseph won, the two-time player of the week, special teams player of the week that helped the Vikings win numerous games last season. And then he goes out in the preseason and he silences the haters with a big 50-plus yard boot. I mean, come on. Where's the kicking competition? Show me where it is. I can't seem to find it. So Greg Joseph, nails. Let's just put this kicking competition to bed already.
Pod Lesney is supposed to get a chance to kick on Saturday because I did ask about that because I'm like, you had said that he was going to get a chance to kick in the game at Seattle and he didn't. And so he is supposed to get an opportunity Saturday. But yeah, Greg Joseph.
We're feeling
Nobody
good.
defends him
We're
like
not-
Declan.
We're
Nobody.
We're not shanking in the playoffs, right? Greg Joseph's
Well,
our
it's
guy.
the-
3 for 3 in the playoffs yet. He's not checking down on 4th and 8.
Yeah, he's not the reason why they lost.
Definitely not. Dex, another thing we like to do here on Before I Die, aside from make fun of one another, comments from YouTube. I think there's a little button that you should get to press.
Comments from YouTube.
Just
Oh, my God.
Production value off the
Right?
charts, Roscoe.
he likes those buttons when he hits the right one. Doesn't always hit the right one, but
No,
when
he does not. I can confirm. We saw that
it-
last week.
it's a moneymaker. So let's rip out some comments here.
All right, let's go with this one. David Diddler, 3781, says on YouTube, KOC absolutely has traits to be an all-time great Vikings coach. If they can't draft, may not last long enough to reach the coaching potential. But the question is, how much of KOC's success or lack thereof will be tied to the front office, Judd?
Ooh, that's full of. So the first draft right now definitely does not look good by Kwesi. Second draft, I have no clue. It looks like the first round pick is a player in Jordan Addison. But you know what? And I like O'Connell. Seems like a good guy. He's fun to talk to. But I'm the same guy, who after 2019 said, Rocco Baldelli's got something special. And then we've seen a lot of Rocco since then, and I've said, I think I'd fire him. So let's just say this. I'm going to bail on this question personally and say it's 1 year. The jury is very much out. I like what O'Connell's done. I like his demeanor. I think he was definitely a breath of fresh air for players and fans from the end, especially of the Mike Zimmer era. But before I declare anyone to be like in that upper echelon, I need to see way more than 1 year. What do you think, Jess?
I'd agree. You need more than 1 year. But I mean, it's tough with any coaching across any board. We talk about it with Dean Evson in hockey, which again, sorry guys, that's my bread and butter. You have to be able to work with the talent that you're given, certainly, and you have to be given the right talent in order to be successful. But a good coach gets the very best out of every player, even a fourth liner, even somebody that's not supposed to be your top guy, even a guy that's not JJ or Jordan Addison, right? You have a coach that's able to squeeze every bit out of a player. And I think Kevin O'Connell has that potential. Again, he seems like a well-liked coach, which goes a long way. Certainly, he seems like a well-respected coach, and he's a guy that knows the game, clearly. But yeah, you're definitely going to need more than 1 year to make a full assessment. But certainly there are some times, I mean, if they keep giving him junk, he should still be able, though, to turn that into something, because that's what a good coach does.
It's interesting because when you look at like the state of GM and head coach of like the 4 major men's sports, like with the Wild example, I think we can say that if like who has more control there, who has done a better job, I think we'd probably teeter on Guerin than Evison, right? Like just in terms of who's doing the better job in their respective right. With the Twins, it might be a wash. I don't know who's doing a better job there. The Wolves, maybe you can lean it on Chris Finch because he's a good offensive coach, and Tim Connelly made a questionable trade. And with the Vikings, I think it's also KOC has definitely gotten more of the praise and shine over Kwesi, especially because of his first draft that he had in 2022. So, yes, there's a balancing act that has to take place. But I think right now, KOC has a longer leash than Kwesi potentially has if you're asking like a 3 to 5 year plan.
Yeah, and I think part of this too is, in your comparison about Bill Guerin brings this to light, Declan. I think part of this too is who is the most front-facing person, right? Like Kevin O'Connell talks constantly. Kwesi talks once every few months, tops, to us. So like there's a lot more to go on we know a lot more about how Kevin thinks than how Kwesi thinks. Dean Evison talks a ton, but when Billy talks, it's, way more intriguing. And so I think that partially whoever is seen as the more dynamic gets the advantage because it's like, oh, this person is relatable and likable. And I think that definitely helps O'Connell. But again, let's see how things go when things don't go right. Last year was a pretty special year. Like 8 comebacks in the fourth quarter by Kirk Cousins, 11 one-score games. You won 13 games. Let's see what happens when your luck isn't there, because that tells a lot about a coach.
Next comment here from Jesse, just one more. He says, I've been playing golf every Sunday during Vikings games for the last few falls. The courses are wide open, and you can still listen and watch the game on your phone. So the question is, playing golf during Vikings games. I'm going to start with Jesse here.
Yeah.
Power move
Give this to Jesse.
or wrong move?
I could see both sides. So I am a multitasker by nature, you guys. I need about 100 different things going on. That's just how I like to function. I like having different pots going at once, even if it can be a little bit much. So for me, I think golf during the Vikings, I don't need to sit there and specifically watch every single little intricacy. I think, get out there, hit my shot, obviously make it to the green, come back, watch it down, right? Finish out the birdie and call it a day. I think that, my golf game obviously lends itself to being able to multitask and watch the Vikings game. So while I personally think it's a power move, I do understand a lot of people probably hating that idea because a lot of football fans, right, sit on the couch and you don't move. You've got everything that you need right there at your lap. You are not doing anything else. Now, I grew up in a household that played music while drinking, while playing games, while having the football game on. I mean, it was just kind of always a bigger event. So I think that is a part of it too. But I know particularly my husband hates that. He's like, nope, silence, watching the game. This is my time. And that's how that goes. So I'm a power mover, but Judd, I feel like you're not. I think you think this was a wrong move.
You know what? No, I'm going to surprise you by saying this. You do you. Yeah. Like if you want to go out and have the game on in golf, that's awesome. Personally, I wouldn't. But you do you. Whatever makes you happy on a Sunday, I think it's great. So, yeah, I have no problem with that plan. I would not do that, but I also don't golf now. So I think that if it's a good point. If you like to golf, the course is going to be obviously less in use by people on a Vikings Sunday. So good for you. You keep living your best life. How about that, huh?
This is a big can of worms because on one hand, I love golf and I love football. I would definitely want to watch football at home. However, the course wide open part does intrigue me because I got to imagine if it's a typical noon Sunday and you wanted to golf at noon. Now, I'm more of a 10 a.m. golfer. I hate early tee times, and I don't like mid to late afternoon tee times because then it's like dark by the time you're done and your day's ruined. But I'm a big proponent of ready golf. I don't care. You can be like me and shoot 102 every round, but play ready golf. So if that radio is on, listen to the Vikings game, and you haven't shot your shot because you're waiting for the 3rd and 3 call, I'm going to get upset. Hit your shot. Hit your shot. So I guess this is my long-winded way of saying, no, I am not for Vikings games while golfing. Can't do it.
You got to enjoy the outside while we can, you guys. Fall is the best season. I think everybody's pretty hot
Team Jesse
for fall
on this
right now
one.
with this weather.
I love fall.
God,
I love
just get
fall.
out there. Yeah.
I used to like, so in my youth, I think I like spring the most. But now I am a fall. I love fall. I think it's just the best time. Plus, I love those days, those autumn days when you open the door, walk outside, and it smells like hockey.
Oh, I like where you're going there.
Hockey's in the air. Mm-hmm. I told Dawn that, and she's like, it smells like football. I said, no. This is hockey. I smell hockey.
It's almost there. I would like it to last a little bit longer. That's the only request I have of Mother Nature. Give me through November. Just give me till November. Then I can make the switch.
Thanksgiving.
Yes, that seems fair. That's reasonable. If
And
you
then we'll
ask
get some
me.
snow. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, shall we, before we diet, crew, let's rip
Let's
those
do it.
out.
Let's do it.
Time now for the Before I Die crew to give us their Before I Dies.
Oh, Roscoe
This
is
production
way
value.
into the production.
Wow.
He loves it. We've got one for everything. If I
Roscoe
mentioned,
is a frustrated producer at heart. You can tell.
if I mentioned fantasy football, we got a button for that too. That's
I
coming
see
up.
that.
Yeah,
Wow.
you see that? I know. It's a little something. Dex, why don't you do the honors since we got you here for your first fill-in of the
All
year.
right, so let's do this one because last night, and this might take a turn, but my Before I Die is gonna be completely different. I had like Vietnamese food last night. It was really good. It was delicious. But when I got home, it did not sit well with me. I could not get to sleep last night. And there was a couple points where I was like, do I have to like go hurl? Like I couldn't figure out. I had like a mini fever going on. It wasn't great. It wasn't great. So I went and slept in the other bedroom. I slept in I was tossing and turning. I didn't want to disturb my fiance and my dog. So I went to the other bedroom. But it was pouring rain last night, which is great. I love pouring rain. And especially like when you're sick too, it's kind of nice to get some fresh air.
Agreed.
But I couldn't open the window because then the rain gets in. Then your rain gets in your window. So before I die, I would love to just have open air and not have rain hit my face as I'm trying to go to sleep. Because it's nice and soothing. You're not feeling well. And before I die, can we get an easier way to have the window open so you don't get wet from the rain?
It depends on the positioning of your window in your home.
That also is very key. I'm aware of that. And I know that is a very obtainable before I die as well. It's a positioning of your home. But before I die, I would like to be able to have the window open so I can get the fresh air so I don't feel like I have to barf in the middle of my bed.
That's a really deep, like complicated Before I Die, in my opinion. Jesse, you go next.
I mean, mine's simple and it's selfish. Before I die, I want to catch a bass because I have been aching to go fishing this summer. As I mentioned, I'm a little redneck, little country. I love to get out on the boat and go fishing and just putter around, just again, be outside, have a couple drinks, listen to some low tunes. I have not fished once this year, you guys. And it's just, I think it's because I know summer's coming to an end. So I'm getting in like this panic mode. But beyond that, I've only ever fished for walleye and maybe some perch once in a while, right? Like, or some northerns. That's just how I grew up. We never fished for anything else. I want to catch a bass. So if somebody can help put me on a bass before the summer's over, before I die, ultimately, that would be a dream. I've caught halibut. I've caught king salmon. I've caught red salmon. I've caught trout, brook trout. I love fishing. I've done it all. I've done the rivers, done the oceans, but I've never caught a bass. And I feel like I'm really missing out on some fun. So before I die, I'm going to catch we'll do a largemouth. I want a largemouth. I'll be specific on that largemouth bass. That would be a dream. Thank you.
Wow. All right, so we got Declan's near puking experience. Jesse wants to catch a fish before she dies. All admirable as can possibly be. What do I want before I die? See, I'm a simpler man than this. I'm a very, very simple guy. So here's what I want. Before I die, I want to never have another garage sale at my house again.
God.
As Dawn just had with her friend Michelle, a 2-day garage sale on Friday and Saturday at our house.
Oh boy.
Where there was, all the junk was basically on tables in the yard, and it was a low-key stressor for me. It was unnecessary. Just give it away. It's clothes, it's books. Take them to half-price books. Take them to half-price books. Take the clothes to Goodwill. A sale at my house. And then she suggested, well, why don't you put it on Twitter so people will come to... I'm like, I am not putting my home address. I am not putting my home address on Twitter. I'm sorry. There's nothing good that can come from that other than possibly a few folks showing up. So before I die, I want to promise that there will never be another garage sale at my house. God bless her. My mom used to love to garage sale on Thursday. She would take me when I was young. It was a great experience. As an adult, I'm out. Just give the crap away.
I'm a garage sailor. I enjoy it. Gets me excited. Like when I first see
Well,
that
that's
first
fine
garage
to be a
sale
garage
sign.
sailor. Do you hold them?
I want to, but I've heard that they
Okay.
are a nightmare of a chore too. So I also don't think I
Well,
will
and
ever
we
actually do
didn't
it.
publicize it. Now, unless I'm wrong here, I still think Thursday is that still the big day? It
Yeah,
used to be
sometimes they
Thursday.
do Wednesdays even. Some
Okay.
in our hood, they're busting out, but yeah, and then you
They
have
put up
people that are dedicated and they hit every garage sale in that
Yes,
block.
my
It's
mom
crazy.
used to in the 70s used to sit there with a notepad and the Star Tribune and jot down all of the addresses and go around, and that was awesome. But this was not a well publicized one, right? And so they put some signs around the block. That's all fine, but it was a low key stressor. I did not enjoy it. And plus, the other problem is when people go in and out of my house, they leave the sliding glass door open, and it becomes a fly festival.
God.
And there's nothing I hate more than insects in my home.
I kind of wish a Purple Daily fan would have showed up and
Me
bought
too.
one of your shirts and been really weird about
I
it.
sold nothing. I sold nothing. In fact, don't tell, but I actually found a couple of things of mine that she had found, and she put them on sale, and I very quietly took them out,
What'd you do with them?
including an old school North Stars
Oh, wow.
trapper.
Judd.
What?
Well, it was from the early 90s, so it was the Star
Still.
Dallas used.
That's vintage.
I know. And a Twins trapper, and then a Twins Elmer Fudd hat.
Wow.
And I found these things, and I very low key just removed them and stuck them in my room.
That's fair. See, I'm a Facebook marketplacer. You want to sell some things, toss it on Facebook Marketplace.
Well, that's fine. That's
win.
fine. But what I'm saying is no more people at my house.
No more garage sales. No more garage sales. We're catching fish and we're fixing windows, it sounds like. This
Amen.
week on Before I Die on Purple Daily and Score North. As always, check out all the Purple Daily content on Score North. Before I Die comes out each and every Monday. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, listen, all that good stuff. I think I just did Dex's job for him. My bad, Dex. I know you're really good at that, but sounds right.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
We'll see you next week.
See you next week. Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Go Vikes.